With me today, I have a brand new 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now this platform debuted 9 years ago, back in 2011, and when it first came out, the industry fell in love with it. It was light years better than the previous generation. Now, over the last 9 years, Jeep has been adding to this, changing exterior styling, adding more trim level, more engine options, and so forth to try to keep up with the industry. But with that said, Jeep is preparing a brand new platform that is set to debut in the near future. So is this still a good SUV, and should you consider it? That's what I'm here to find out. So in this review video, learn everything there is to know about this brand new Grand Cherokee so you can decide if it is the right SUV for you. Stay tuned. I want to give a big shout out to Jack Phelan of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. So if you're in the market for a brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram, check out this dealership. Their information is on the screen and in the description below. First, let's look at the outside. The Grand Cherokee has a handsome front end that has been evolving since 2014. The 7-piece grille and the headlights are a staple for the Grand Cherokee and remains mostly the same between the 12 different trim levels. The Limited X that I'm reviewing today has a unique lower bumper design that is shared with the high altitude and summit trims. All the chrome pieces that you usually find on the exterior has been changed to a blackish granite crystal color for this Limited X. Also on this Limited X, HIDs are standard as well as LED daytime running lights and LED fog lights. And take a look at this hood. It's a modified SRT sculpted hood with dual heat extractors. Really cool. Now, the side profile to the Grand Cherokee to me is what a mid-size SUV should look like. It has all the right proportions and the exact profile that I love. This Limited X has granite crystal mirrors, roof rail, window surrounds, and all the badging is also in the same color. So are the wheels. They are in fact 20-inch wheels and they have a really sleek design. They really fill up the wheel wells. Now moving on to the back, again to me, this is what a backside to a mid-size SUV should look like. It just looks right. There's the large spoiler on top as well as a large privacy back window. The LED taillights have black inserts within. The dual exhaust tips are covered in the granite crystal color as well as the badges. As for trim levels, there are 12 different trim levels to this brand new Grand Cherokee. 12. There's basically a trim level for everyone out there. Starting with the base, the Laredo starts around $32,000 when configured with two-wheel drive option. Now, most of these trims, you can select two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, although there's a few trims that only come with four-wheel drive. Now, starting with the Laredo, you go up to Laredo E, Upland, Altitude, then you go up to Limited X, that's the one I'm testing today, Trailhawk, Overland, High Altitude, Summit, SRT, and finally the Trackhawk, which starts around $87,000. There is really a trim level for everyone out there. Every single trim level going up adds a bit more until you get to the very extreme Trackhawk. There are 4 different engines to this Grand Cherokee. The base one is a 3.6 liter V6 pushing about 295 horsepower. Now this engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic. Now there is an optional 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that is available for the limited trim and above. It pushes 360 horsepower. And when a Grand Cherokee is equipped with a Hemi V8, it could tow up to 7,200 pounds. Next, you have the SRT trim, which gets a special 6.4 liter V8 pushing 475 horsepower. And if that wasn't enough, you can opt for the Trackhawk edition, which has a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 pushing a monstrous 707 horsepower. As for safety features, all Grand Cherokees come with something called ProTech 1. And with it, you get blind spot monitoring with rear cross path detection, and also you get rear park assist and rear backup camera. Basically, you can detect what's around you, what's behind you, and also you do have a camera in case you are backing out of a spot or somewhere. You can upgrade to ProTech 2. And ProTech 2 adds forward collision warning with active braking. So in case you miss something or an emergency situation, the Grand Cherokee will auto brake for you and of course warn you. It also has lane departure warning with lane keep assist, so it will try to keep your Grand Cherokee within the lanes. And finally, you do get auto high beam headlights to improve visibility. Now, beyond that, there is something called Advanced ProTech 2, and this is another option. And on this Limited X, this is a available option. And with that, you get full speed forward collision warning with active braking, which is another layer to this auto braking setup. And you get adaptive cruise control, park assist, and rain sensing windshield wipers. Now, moving on to the backside, the trunk is very spacious in the Grand Cherokee. There are some hooks on the right side, as well as a cubby hole and a 12V outlet. Now, on the right side, you have the power tailgate button, another cubby hole, and some clips. Underneath the bottom cover, you have a full spare and some hidden storage. Now, moving on to the second row to the Grand Cherokee, it is very spacious, and this Limited X is full of leather. You get a pair of vents, a pair of USB ports, and a regular household outlet. As for space, I'm 5 feet 10 and I have a good 5 to 6 inches of legroom left, and the same with headroom. The seats cannot slide, but it can recline forwards and backwards. And the same lever used to recline can also lay the second row flat. For those of you guys that are parents, there are 2 sets of car seat latches, although there are 3 tethers on the backside. Next, let me show you the front cabin. Alright, I'm behind the steering wheel, so next let me show you the cabin and the features you'll find up here. Starting with the steering wheel, this looks very familiar, much like the steering wheel in the other Jeeps, and I like it. It has a good thickness, it actually feels really good. The leather also feels really good. I would prefer the 10 and 2 spot was thicker, but overall, it's a nice steering wheel. I'll let you guys know how this feels once I start driving. Now you do see on the back side aluminum paddle shifters, which actually look really nice and feel nice, and I'll give them a try and see how they are. In terms of buttons over here, this is all for cruise control. Unfortunately, this trim does not come with adaptive cruise control, so this is just regular cruise control. Over here, this is to control the huge screen in the gauge cluster, and this is phone control. Now, take a look at the gauge cluster. You got one massive screen in the middle, and then on both sides, they're analog. So you got an analog tach, and then also over here, it's not a speedometer. Usually this is a speedometer, but this is for fuel and temperature. So you do only have a digital speedometer in the middle, and it is one gigantic screen. So by utilizing these buttons here, you can scroll up and down. For example, you can see your TPMS. This is your trip computer or fuel computer, trip computer. This is for engine auto start stop. This is for music, your notifications, setup screen, and then it goes back, right? So you do get a lot of information. Overall, I like this design. I like how it's integrated. It's really hard to tell that the middle is a screen, especially with the way it's designed, how the circles kind of go around. So I like that setup a lot. Now moving on this side, this is for controlling our lights. And this is pretty standard mirror control and window control. Now you do have auto up and down for just the passenger and driver side. Down here is where you have memory seats. It's kind of an unusual spot. Usually it'll be like up here, so it is a bit lower. Now here, this is for your fuel door. That's also pretty low. Now moving on to the infotainment over here, this is a massive Uconnect 8.4-inch screen.
It is very high res and very bright. I love the screen. I got done reviewing a Gladiator recently, and it's the same setup. I really like this. Now on the bottom, this is like your selection, which you can change and customize, but right now it's media, climate controls, app, nav, phone settings. Now apps pretty much gives you everything, and depending on what you find here, you can drag and drop down and change these menus if you wanted to, but this apps is everything. And you do get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, which is standard. In this trim you also get Wi-Fi, which is really nice. Now climate control, all right, this is pretty standard. You can control the temperature on both sides and the control, but if you didn't want to use this, you go down here, you can use the physical buttons, which is nice. Now some of the things under, say, controls for heated seats and heated steering wheel, there is no, physical button for them. I was looking for where the heated steering wheel is. It's under control, so that may be a little bit confusing for some, so you just have to get used to that. But for the most part, this is a really easy to use infotainment screen. Everything is quick, responsive, and I like it. I really like it. Now moving down here, you got a lot of buttons. So mute, screen off, hazard light, volume. This is for scrolling through the radio stations, right? That's pretty standard. Now over here, this is where you have climate control. So you can control the temperature up and down, and then you have some defroster options. And down here, you have eco mode, engine auto start stop, parking sensor, sport mode on or off, and traction control. Pretty standard things. Now moving lower, as you can see, you have a 12V outlet, and then you have two USB ports, and I like how they glow like that. I really do. Makes it much easier to see at night. And you got an aux port, some space over here. You got a regular shifter, which I really like. Nothing to relearn, and you do have manual shifting on the side, right? And that's where you could utilize these paddle shifters. Two cup holders, and this is the terrain select, and I really like this setup. So right now it's in auto, but you can change it so that if you're going to sand or snow, rock and mud, you can change it, and the all-wheel drive system will do its thing and adapt. You do also have hill descent and four-wheel drive low.
Now, if you're equipping your Grand Cherokee with four-wheel drive, you're getting what's called Quadra-Drive 1, and that is standard along with the terrain management system. But if you're seriously into off-roading, you need a bit more. That's where you can opt for Quadra-Drive 2 four-wheel drive system. This is not available across all trims. In fact, it's only available on the upper trim levels. But what this adds you for about $800 is a beefier rear axle, and you get electronic limited slip differential in the rear, which will transfer up to 100% of the torque away from a slipping wheel. So again, those of you guys that are into off-roading, this is definitely a package you want to add on.
Now, as for armrest, it's nice and big, and you do have another 12V outlet that's hidden down there. And this is dual stage, so you could just open up the top as well. So if you want to just put pens or whatever here, you can. Now, as for the seats, kind of like the rear seats, they have their own cool design, all covered in leather, and you can see the bolsters is pretty big too, both in the back and the bottom cushion. So I'll let you guys know how the seat is. But it does look really nice. And take a look from the door panel, right? I like that design, especially with this trim, right? It's kind of like a black trim, and I like the contrast with that chrome, right? And that flows into the dash, into the infotainment over here, and how that flows into the gauge cluster and the steering wheel. Overall, I think this is a really good looking cabin. I really enjoy it. Now up here, this is for a home link for your garage. Some controls over here for your light. This is for the powered tailgate. This is an unusual spot. Usually it's on the side to the left of the steering wheel, so you have to remember it's over there. And these are to control the huge panoramic sunroof. So let me open it for you guys. It is absolutely massive. Well, that's halfway. And that's all the way. It is huge and lets so much light in. I'm really a fan of that. All right, let's go for a drive and let's see how this Grand Cherokee is on the roads. First impression is this is a high riding SUV. It definitely is on the higher side in terms of SUVs, but it's not too high. I could still get in perfectly fine, but I noticed right away it's a nice commanding view. I really like that. So those of you guys that are looking for a higher riding SUV, you'll like this Grand Cherokee. I'm enjoying this ride. I'm enjoying it a lot. I can see why so many people flock to the Grand Cherokee, because right now it's really impressive. All around it's very impressive. So let's start with the suspension. You know, on this freeway with a lot of bumps, it's soaking it up. It's a little bit on the firmer side, so I do feel a little bit more than some of the other SUVs that are really with soft suspensions, but I like it. I like the control. I don't feel like there's a lot of body roll. I do feel like it's handling these imperfections pretty well in a controlled manner, so I actually do feel like it feels pretty good. Now, this Limited X that I'm testing out does have 20-inch wheels, so the sidewalls are a little bit narrower. I'm thinking that if you had 18-inch or 19-inch wheels, the ride would even be more comfortable. Say this steering is really precise. Really precise. There's almost no play, and I like the way it feels. The steering wheel feels really good. I think it's the right thickness, and this leather feels really good. But the steering also very precise, has a good weight to it, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. The visibility is great too. I'm looking all around. The windows are nice and big. The door panels aren't too high. The windshield's big. The rear windshield is also big. Blind spot, no problem, even though you get blind spot monitoring in here. But the visibility is also really good. All right, this is where I usually do a U-turn and see how good the turning radius is. Let's see how it is in this Grand Cherokee. Not bad, not bad. I made it through without needing to go in reverse, so not bad. Another thing that's really impressive is sound installation. It's very quiet in here. It's very quiet. You know, I could hear the engine and exhaust slightly when I step on it, but it's a good sound. It's actually not an annoying sound or obnoxious sound. It actually is good. But when you're just cruising like this, man, it's really quiet. Really quiet. No wind noise, no road noise. Now I'm going at slow speed, so once I speed up, you know, getting 50, 60 miles per hour, I'll let you guys know if that changes. But right now, it's quiet. Okay, acceleration is okay. I got up to about 60, going from about 20 to 60. I got up to speed okay. It's not the quickest. You'll have no problems getting up to speed and passing in here, that's for sure. See, like right now, I'm going on this freeway, and I test this freeway a lot, because this freeway, as you can see in the camera, a lot of imperfections, a lot of bumps on this freeway, and the suspension in this Grand Cherokee is great. I mean, I feel it, but it's really doing a good job handling everything on this freeway right now. So the suspension in here, definitely very good. Very comfortable. Very comfortable. This 8-speed is really good. I've tested some 9-speed and 10 speeds where I feel like, you know what, it shifted a little bit too early, trying to save gas. Not so much in here. I do feel like, you know what, it's always in the right gear. I always have plenty of power. So that's good. And speaking of power, braking power is pretty good. The brakes feel pretty normal. It doesn't catch on too quick or late. It does stop this Cherokee pretty quickly, so brakes are good. Yeah, even getting up to speed, I feel like it's very quiet in here. The sound installation is definitely good in this Cherokee.
Next, let's talk about good and bad to this brand new Grand Cherokee. Starting with the good. The Grand Cherokee has a great exterior look. It is quiet, comfortable, and spacious within. It has a great infotainment system. You do get a commanding view and a really good ground clearance. There are many engines to choose from, and finally you have a great and direct steering feel. As for the bad, there are a few. Some of the optional safety features are not standard when they are with competitors. There is trim level overload as there are 12 different trim levels. The cabin is not as modern as some of its competitors, and finally there is a new platform right around the corner. Overall, I'm giving this Grand Cherokee Limited X a score of 97, which is one of the highest scores ever, and if you want to see how this compares with its peers, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and check out some of these other videos.